Okay, hey y'all. Had to do that again. Welcome to the Love Experience Show. I am your host, Ashley J. I am a wife, mother, author, speaker. Um, I almost said singer. I'm not a singer. I can carry it too, but I'm not a singer. Okay. Um, and so many other things. I wear a lot of hats. But I thank you for taking your time out today to come and enjoy the Love Experience Show. So welcome. If it's your first time, welcome to the Love Experience Show. This is where we discuss all things relationship and love. Okay. And typically have guests on who share their version of a love experience. And it doesn't matter what their experience is, you can share it because by telling your story, you can help somebody else who may be in a similar situation. Okay. So tonight, that is the plan. And let me just tell you, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel and also share the episode out with everybody you know. Share it with everybody you know. Throw a watch party, okay? Let's get this thing into a movement. It has already been a movement, but let's get it moving so that it could be a movement for everyone, okay? Also, let's see, June 24th through the 25th, I will be co-hosting a women's experience with Jasmine Dash and Jessica McNeil. We are going to be hosting the Building Your Love Empire experience. And I want you to be there, take part in it, and let's have fun, okay? You don't want to miss this. This is going to be a life changing experience. Life changing. It's for women, and it doesn't matter if you're single or married. Go get your tickets and share some tickets. Go buy yourself some tickets and somebody else some tickets so they could be part of this movement as not movement, this experience as well. Okay. So I'm very excited about this. It's God given and it's going to be a great time. Anything else? Also, make sure you join me on Saturdays at 1 p.m. Eastern. That is when I host my clubhouse room, The Love Experience, where we talk about having relationships the in a healthy and godly way. Okay. So join me on Clubhouse at 1 p.m. Eastern for the love experience. Okay. Also, I think that's it. No, it's not. Make sure you go to It's Ashley Jade and purchase your merchandise. I just dropped some new shirts that I made. And you got to go get you some. And your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever. Go get you some of these shirts because they are fire. You need it. I'm telling you, you need it. Okay. And yeah, and also don't forget to get your Love Experience Show mugs. I got mugs out there. Rep your show. This is your favorite show. You need to rep it. Okay. All right. So, as you can see, the title of today's episode is In Sickness and in Health. And if you are married, or even if you've been to weddings, you know what this is. That is part of the vows. That is part of the vows that you make when you get married. But interestingly enough, my husband and I had to live that vow out before getting married. We had to live it out before we got married. And here's why. Um, as we were preparing for our wedding, I actually um I actually was doing a lot. I was working a lot. Um I was doing overtime. I was doing everything that I could, using all my resources that I could to make money to pay for my wedding, for our wedding. And and I was like working, let me see. Overtime would be in the morning. I would come into on the first shift and work a part-time shift with which is 4 hours. I would come in on, I think came in on my days off. Like I was grinding it out, y'all. I was doing everything that I needed to do. I was in school, so I would take refund checks and put that towards weddings, which financially I don't recommend you do. Hold those checks and pay off your student loans if you had some. Okay. But that's what I was doing to make this dream of my wedding come to pass, and to also come into unity with the man that I fell in love with, the love of my life, right? So I was doing all of this, and I had a lot going on, and I was in school at the same time as crushing these hours. I was burning the candle at both ends, and it became a lot. It became a lot. I I started to experience some symptoms that I never experienced, but just brushed it off as just being overly tired and just working too much. So, one thing I started to feel was I started to be tired all the time, like really tired, not a regular tired. It was like real tired. And it was to the point where I could hardly keep my eyes open. And if you know me, and if you don't, I'm about to put you on to something. I am not somebody who likes to wake up too early. I have an issue with that. I can't, it drives, I can't do it. I'm not that person. But I did it because I had to, out of necessity. But I didn't want to do that at all. No, not at all. So that was something I was like, well, maybe my body is just trying to adjust to me working so hard and waking up super early to work, and sometimes staying after my regular shift, my regular 8-hour shift, to work at night for a few hours. Like maybe it's just my body doing it. Okay. And then as time went on, I was doing this, I would say, for a couple months, maybe, or more longer than that. I started doing this, right? And still coming home, doing my schoolwork, like I was doing a lot. But I noticed that I started to kind of get sick. And like I said, I felt like I was just overly tired, but didn't think much of it. So I caught some type of virus. I think they said it was a viral infection or something. I can't remember, but it was something that I had to kind of fight through, like because they said I couldn't have any antibiotics um, to help it, so I just had to fight through this thing. And as I was fighting through it, like I didn't feel like I was getting any better. I was told give it a week, maybe two, and you should be good. And I did that. But then it turned into a month of me not feeling at my best. And it was a little concerning. And at this point, like, my husband, well, he was my fiance at the time. He was like, well, you need to take it easy, slow down a little bit, this, that, and the third. And one of the reasons why, or part of the reason why I was working so hard was because I um I was trying to pay for everything myself. That's what my goal was. I wanted to pay for everything myself. I didn't want to have to, and even though it was both of our wedding, I wanted to have that. I took on that responsibility myself. And I didn't really want him to have to help with that. And I did have some help with, some family members chipped in to buy the invitations, some of the favors. Like I've had people helping me, but for the majority of it, I was carrying the weight. And so he was like, just relax a little bit. And one day I remember being at work, and if let me tell you what I did. I was a TSA officer. Okay, that was my job. That's what I was doing. I did that for 9 years. I did that for 9 years. And that was my job. And it was easy because I could make money when I needed to. Okay. So I went to work, and that day I felt really, really bad going to work. And it was to the point that I was like, I can't really function. I need to leave. Like, I can't do this. And I think that day I was running late, so I didn't take the train to work where I normally took it from. And I kind of I basically drove into work, and I was like, okay, this feels like the flu or something. Like, this is I can't shake it. So I tell them, look, I need to go home. Like, I'm not feeling good at all. And they could tell I wasn't feeling good because, I'm not bubbly, but I typically have good energy, and I'm nice and talkative and stuff like that with people that I know. So they could tell something was wrong because I wasn't that way. So they said, go home, it's okay. Y'all, I was trying to drive home, and I started falling asleep at the wheel. I had to swerve onto the shoulder because I was this close to hitting the car in front of me. And that scared me so bad. And I was like, oh my God, like, I have to, I just, that scared me. I panicked. So I think I called somebody. I may have called my mom. I can't remember who I called, but I called somebody. I said, you got to keep me awake. I almost crashed into the car in front of me. Please keep me awake. So I was talking to this person. So from that, at that time, what time was it? It was like early evening, late afternoonish type time. So I was in traffic, and they talked to me all the way home, make sure I got home. And I pulled into the driveway, and I think my husband was working from home that day. And I walked into his office, and I told him, I was like, I had to leave. I had to leave work early. I'm not feeling good. He was like, okay. I said, all I feel like I need to do is go to sleep. And I was like, I can barely move. Like, it took a lot for me to come from from the driveway into the house. So he said, okay, sit down for a minute. But I sat down on the couch in his office, and I ended up laying down and going to sleep. I don't know how long I was asleep for, but I was asleep for a little while. And I woke up, and I was like, I feel disoriented. Like, I had a whole bunch of things happening at once that was so uncomfortable. So I was like, okay, I'm not sure why I'm feeling this way. I don't know what's going on. And he was like, well, maybe you're still sick. And I was like, maybe, but I was like, I still don't, I took this nap. I still don't feel like I have any energy. And I felt like I was ready to break down and start crying because I didn't know what was happening. And, and so I'm trying to remember what happened after that. So after that, like, I may have called out of work maybe a couple days. Um, and then one day I woke up, and my legs were not working properly. And I was like, what is this? And like, the way I was walking, it was like, I'm trying to figure out a great way to describe it so you could get this visual. Um, I was walking like I was in a squat. I was doing a squat. That's how I was walking because my legs had no strength in them. And yeah, the doctor was like, well, one of the doctors that I saw, she was like, well, you got some type of strength because your walk, that's not an easy way to walk. But it was so hard to explain. Like, I did not have strength in my legs. If I tried to stand up, my legs would collapse. If I tried to stand up straight, my legs would collapse, and I could not walk properly. And I think that day I actually was crawling. And I called him, and I was like, I was scared, and I was telling him like something is really wrong. And he was like, okay, call the doctor. And I called the doctor. I explained to them what was going on, and they said, go to the hospital. So went to the hospital, and they were checking me out, running blood work. I explained to them what I was feeling, and not just that my legs were completely weak, but they also were tingling, and they were numb. Like all of this was happening at the same time. And in my brain, I felt like my brain was not at its full capacity. So all of that was happening at the same time. And I was trying to explain it to them, and they were running tests, running blood work. They were pumping me with fluids, and asking me, coming back and checking on me, like, how are you feeling? This, that, and the third. And I told them, I was like, I don't feel any better. I don't feel better at all. So they said, well, all your tests are coming back negative. We're not sure what this is. They threw out a name. Um, I I can't remember how to say it, so I'm not going to even try. But they threw out a name, and it was like, but it doesn't typically show up like this. So that started the rigmarole. That started the cycle. And let me tell you. So I got sick. I got the viral infection in February, and this is probably about March. So they sent me home, and I was like, okay, I can't stay home any longer, because I think at that point my sick hours started to dwindle a little bit. So I was like, I have to try to go to work. Well, I thought I was feeling better. And when I got up to go to work, the same thing happened. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna try to push through this. And I drove to the train station. Took me 100 years to get to the train. And it was like a terrible ride. And once we got to the airport, I got up to walk into the airport, and my legs would not straighten up. And that was the last place that I wanted to be like that in. I didn't want to be at the airport like that, because I didn't I had an image to uphold. I didn't want anybody to see me like that. So get to the airport and try to go on with my duties. They told me I could stay at the check-in tickets the whole time. And I was there for a few hours. And one of the lead officers, he came to let me go on break. And when he saw me get down from the chair, he was like, "Whoa, what what's wrong? Are you feeling okay?" I said, "No, I'm not." And he was like, "Wait a minute. No, you can't." He was like, you can't work like this. What you look like you're 80 years old. No, you can't work like that." So he gets the supervisor. The supervisor walks me to the office, and they call the paramedics. And the paramedics come, and they're checking me, and they're like, "Well, your heart rate is like really elevated." And they were asking me, all these different questions about what I'm feeling. And they're like, "Well, maybe it's something with your circulation," like just trying to figure things out. And they were like, "Okay, well, do you want to go to the hospital?" So I called my husband, and I was like, "Look, they're trying to send me to the hospital." And he was like, "I'm on my way." So he left work, battled through traffic to get to the airport so he could pick me up. He was like, "Tell them, don't let you," he didn't want me to go to Grady Hospital. He said, "Just tell them I'm on my way. I'm coming to get you." So I told the paramedics that, and they were like, okay, we're going to stay with you, for a little while longer to keep an eye on you and keep an eye on your pulse. And then, we'll go on and do what we have to do. So that's what they did. People were coming in and out checking on me, and I had to get a wheelchair to go get my stuff, go to the front of the airport to be picked up, because he called and said he was outside. Had to get in the wheelchair. They wheeled me out, and I got in the car, and he took me to the hospital that was close to our house. And again, another hours of waiting. And then they took me back and they said, we're keeping you overnight. Now, that was a little bit of a relief for me. That was some relief, because the first time I went to the hospital, they just kept me for a few hours and was like, well, we can't figure this out. You can go home. But this time I was staying overnight, and I was significantly worse that time. And so, I stayed overnight at the hospital. That was my first time ever having. That was my first time I ever had to stay at the hospital overnight. Very first time. And I will not lie, I was a little scared because I didn't know what was going to happen in the hospital. I didn't know, but they were concerned that I may have had MS, and they set me up with a bunch of tests. There was this nerve activity test that they did where they would stick these nodes in my body, which was super painful. And I had a very unsensitive doctor who was conducting the test and told me that I needed to basically woman up because I was I was in so much pain, but he didn't understand why I was acting like that. Go figure. So, had the tests, even talked to a psychiatrist because they thought that I was having a psychiatric break, because I was saying that there was something wrong with my vision as well. I said I would see it would feel like I saw something running across like in front of me or something like that. So they were like, you need to talk to. I was like, I'm not crazy. This is not something that I'm not losing my mind. Like, this is actually what's happening. Like, I'm seeing dots. Like, y'all, I'm seeing stuff. My brain is not working to the way it needs to. My body is not acting right. Like, I'm having trouble. Why would you think that I'm going crazy? I had no other symptoms of somebody who was having a psychotic break. So, hey auntie. So that whole thing. So, they referred me to a neurologist, and the doctor that was overseeing my care while I was in the hospital, he was like, listen, my daughter, she was having some problems, some health issues, and he was like, this doctor, he's really good and he helped her a lot. He was like, so I'm going to set you up with an appointment with him. So I said, okay, I'll see the neurologist. That's fine. And the neurologist's last name just happened to be Williamson. So I was like, for sure, I'll see this guy. So, go to the neurologist, and he runs a battery of tests that they couldn't run inside the hospital. And he was completely stumped. He had no idea what was going on with me, but he could clearly see something was going on with me. And let me just say, during this whole time, my husband was by my side. And the reason that I told y'all, the reason why I named this episode "In Sickness and in Health" is because he was riding for me during that time. Like, he did not turn his back on me. I totally expected him to leave me. I did. I'm not even going to lie to y'all. I expected him to leave me, and I would have to. I believe that I was going to have to go back to Philly and live with my mom or something, because I did not think he would stick around. He did not sign up to have to take care of somebody, take care of his future wife before we got married. But he totally proved me wrong. He proved me completely wrong. He went to every doctor's appointment with me. He took care of me. He even flew my mom down from down here from Philly to take care of me because he had to go back to work. He took, I forget how long he took off, maybe a week from work to take care of me because I really couldn't do anything. When I left the hospital, I left with a walker. I did. I had a walker because I had to go through physical therapy to learn how to walk again. Um, I had a whole lot that I had to do in that time, all while my wedding is coming up in May, which was shortly after all of this was happening. I had a lot of work to do for myself, but he stayed by my side the entire time. And when he couldn't be there, he got my mom to come and take care of me. And when she had to leave, I felt a little more comfortable with the way I had to get around. So I was like, okay, I can figure this out by myself. Like, I think I'll be okay when she goes home. And he didn't want me to be by myself. So he asked me to call my mom's friend and see if she could come by and take care of me. But and I reached out and she agreed, but she couldn't do it. So I was like, I'm good. I'll just stay downstairs because we got a 3-story house. So I was staying on the main level. We have a bathroom there. That's where the food is. So in case I got hungry, like, I'll just lay on the couch. So, and that's what I did. Um, so and then he would come home, and when he came home, he would take care of me. He would cook me my dinner, stuff like that. So this was a complete change of life because I went from being extremely healthy to being somebody dependent on others to take care of them. And that was not an easy pill to swallow. So, with all of the stuff that was happening in my body, depression started to come in. I couldn't work. I couldn't do the things that I was used to doing. And depression came in. And I cried all the time. I was asking God, why would he let this happen? By the way, before it even happened, I had a dream that it was going to happen. Before this even happened, it was a warning dream. And I was like, what is that about, God? And I had he showed me exactly the way I manifested in from that dream is how he showed me I was going to be. And he showed me that it was going to be a while before they figured out what was going on with me. So I had physical therapy. The physical therapist, they would come to the house and, kind of work me out and stuff like that. I would tell them some of the concerns I was having. So we would work on that stuff. They got me outside. They put this belt on me, and it had like a loop in the back. So they had me walking without the walker outside, but they were holding on to the loop to make sure I didn't fall. And doing all of this work. And I remember a conversation that we had one day that showed me that my husband was the real thing. So I was in bed. It must have been a Saturday or something because he was home, and we were in bed. And my mom came in and she was like, "Well," she came into our room and she was talking to us and she was like, "Well, do you still want to go through with the wedding?" And actually, he called my mom into the room because we wanted to make this decision with the three of us. So she was like, "Well, do you want to continue? Do you want to go on with the wedding?" And I was like, "Yeah, I still want to go on with the wedding. Some adjustments are going to have to be made, but I still want to have the wedding." And then my mom asked him this question that came out totally out of left field. But she asked him, "What if she never walks again? Will you still love her? Will you still want to be with her?" And he was kind of taken aback by the question because he felt like, "Hey, I've been here this whole time. Why would I leave her now?" And he was like, "Absolutely. If she can't walk again, I'ma still be there for her." And he said that, and I looked at him because I told y'all I was having those doubts. I was having those doubts. I was like, he's not going to want to marry me because our lifestyle has completely changed due to this sickness. Um, and we don't even know what it is, so it's still going on in my body uncontrolled. So he was like, yes, and the moment he said yes, it was like peace came over me because now I know for sure that this is the man that I'm supposed to marry. And I know for sure that he is not going to leave my side. And that that was amazing. That was the best answer he could have gave. And he stood by his word. So um still planning the wedding, reaching out to the venue, and I'm telling the owner of the venue, I'm explaining the situation, and she was like, she was like, "Don't worry about it. We will figure this out. I'll put some chairs. I have these really nice chairs. I'll put them at the front of the stage so that you don't have to stand up for the entire ceremony." So that was handled. The only questionable thing that happened was, will I be able to walk down the aisle? So the, eh, before I even get to that, like there was still things, that I had to work on in my body. I still was working on stuff, still trying to strengthen my legs, still trying to learn how to walk, still like doing all of this work to make sure I made it down the aisle. And even consult talking to my father, and he was like, "Look, I got you." He was like, I'll hold on to you. I could, you don't have, I'll carry you if I need to. Don't worry about it. But I was like, well, maybe because I didn't want to walk down the aisle with a walker. And that may be vain, and I own that, but that's just what it was. So I was like, my god brother, he was going to be in the wedding. So I was like, well, maybe I talked to him. I said, if I can't walk on the day of the wedding, I need you to help walk me down the aisle with my dad. And he was like, I got you. Don't even worry about it, sis. I got you. So the outpour of support was amazing for me because everybody was willing to help me go through with the wedding. Everybody was chipping in some type of way. There were things that I, yes, wanted to do by myself, but people were chipping in to help me. So let me think. I think right before I got sick, I found my wedding dress. So the wedding dress, it was bought and paid for, and it was getting the alterations done. When I would go to try the dress on and stuff, like, I had the walker and everything, had to get help getting my clothes off so I could try the dress on, and trying to stand up straight. Standing up straight at this point was difficult because, as I told you, my legs would decide they would just collapse. And if I stood up straight, I was very, very shaky. Like, my legs would be like this. I could not stand up straight. So I had to struggle with that. So where am I in this story? Because this was a long story. So the week of the wedding, fast forward to the week of the wedding. The week of the wedding, I was praying and I said, God, my wedding is coming up. Please let me at least walk for the wedding and my honeymoon. The week of the wedding, I got strength back in my legs to walk. I did. And I was like, okay, I'm taking this slow. My sister and my mom, they had came into town for the wedding. My sister was like, look, you better start walking around in these hills so that you can walk. And I was like, getting mad at her because I'm like, yo, it's not that easy. But as time went on, I said, okay, you know what? You're right. Let me try. I started to practice walking around in my heels, so that I can practice walking down the aisle, right? So I was doing that. I had to hold on to stuff at first, but the more I did it, the more I could get used to walking around in heels. And I also ended up having to get a pair of sneakers because I knew that your girl was not going to be able to stay in those heels the whole time. So I got some sneakers. I can't remember who they were by, but I got some sneakers that were really cute and they were great for wedding sneakers. And like it was like night and day, totally night and day. And we had the wedding and I walked down the aisle with my father, and that was it. That's all. The only person I had to walk down the aisle with was my dad. I didn't need anybody's assistance. We kept the chairs at the stage, just so I don't overdo it, and I work with wisdom, right? So I walked down the aisle, y'all. Something that I didn't think was going to be possible, but it happened because God allowed it to happen. He answered my prayer. I was able to walk down the aisle the entire time and got to the front, sat down, had the ceremony and everything, and I was able to get up and walk back out of the venue after the ceremony was over. And I was like in amazement because I was like, God, you healed me just for this day. You really listened to my prayer. And I was so happy. And, we went the entire time. I even was dancing. I danced a little bit, had my sneakers on, all of that. And I was like, yes, my dream wedding was happening. I was so happy, y'all. I was so happy. And you know what was the best for me? I wasn't just happy, but everybody else was happy too. Because the people that knew me, my family, they knew the struggle before the wedding. And they were celebrating with me. And I'm not going to cry, but that was just, regardless of all of the other obstacles that happened during that day, that was the best day, one of the best days of my life. And I was so grateful to God that day. And then had a nerve to go on my honeymoon, still walking, being adventurous on the honeymoon. And I was like, yo, this is my prayer answered. We spent the entire week in Jamaica, and that was like a life-changing week. And I went I if okay, I'll admit something. I was very afraid of water. And my fear of water was like really ridiculous. Like I could not get in water. But during the honeymoon, that even start went away. Like just, Ocho Rios has a special place in my heart for real, because God allowed me to have the best experience there. Doing all of the things that we did, all the walking. I did the most walking that I've done in Ocho Rios that I've done. I did in like months with all of this going on. Mind you, still didn't have a diagnosis for what was going on. Okay. So we get home. Well, before we got home, the very last day we were on our honeymoon, we went for a couple's massage. And the first time I had a massage, it was a great massage. The last time I had the massage, um, I don't know what happened, but my legs got started to give out. So we had to chill that day. Um, Coming home, uh everything was okay. I had to use the wheelchair. Um, and then after that, after we got home, I went right back to not being able to walk. It was crazy. Um, but that kept me from being able to work, because the job that I had was physically demanding. I was on my feet all pretty much the entire shift. So it was pretty demanding, and I was incapable of working. And I even went to the job a couple times, and they were like, "No, you can't work like this." And I said, "I agree." So I had to go on sick leave, had to get hours donated to me and stuff like that. Um which that was a whole nightmare within itself. So now we're down to one income. And I ended up retiring. They let me go out on medical retirement. So I was a retiree at the age of like 30. When did I get married? I was 32. I was on medical retirement at 32. And that was kind of crazy, because people were like, "Oh, well, what do you do?" Nothing. I'm retired. That was the weirdest thing. But anyway, I said that to say I told you guys that story because one, those vows, we took those vows very seriously, even before we even said them, walking down, not walking down the aisle, but said them on our wedding day. Those vows became so real in our lives. We had no choice but to live them out. And I'm telling you that too because God moved in a way for me that I didn't expect. After he showed me that I was going to have this issue, I was going to get sick, and that I needed to prepare myself when I got sick, um, he still moved in my life. And it took an entire year before I got a diagnosis. And here's the kicker. Me and Tariq ended up diagnosing me. And we brought the diagnosis to the doctor, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that works." So that was the crazy thing. Okay. Um and the way he found it because he was searching. Like one morning I was still sleeping, and he got up one morning and he said he just was going through Google, trying to figure out, putting in my symptoms and trying to figure out what was going on with me. And the fit that he found was fibromyalgia. So the doctor was like, "Well, we'll use that as a working diagnosis." So used it as a working diagnosis. And it wasn't until let me say this, even with us having the working diagnosis, um, it still did not help me because I still was struggling. I still was having a hard time in my body. So it was it last year? Last year, I believe, I went to a rheumatologist. I went to two rheumatologists. The first one, they were like, well, fibromyalgia is not exactly what you have going on. They was like, we believe it's something different. Let's run some tests and we'll give you an answer. So we ran the test, and they came back with the technical name of it I cannot pronounce, but it was basically psoriatic arthritis. And I was like, okay, uh, well, what do we do now? And they were giving me some stuff, and I was like, I don't know. I started feeling kind of shaky with them because it took me forever to get seen. Like, I would have an appointment and literally I would be waiting for like 2 hours to be seen by the doctor. So that was a huge turnoff for me. Tried this other rheumatologist, and she was like, well, I don't believe that's your diagnosis because that's usually in white people. And I'm like, well, I got white in me on both sides. What do you mean? And she was like, nope, that's usually in white people. And she was like, you I don't think that fits you. So I'm gonna just stick with fibromyalgia. And I was like, but fibromyalgia does not really still fit because I'm still having these terrible flare-ups and that render me incapable of walking and this, that, and the third. And she was like, yep, it's still fibromyalgia. And it just, something didn't settle right with me with her. And she had a lot going on in her life personally. So I was like, sometimes that clouds people's judgment. So I'm gonna leave you alone. I'm not, and I tried to make another appointment with them and they never called me back. So I was like, I'm good. Went back to this other doctor and they ran tests again, and they was like, yeah, this, you're still showing up the same way. It's psoriatic arthritis. Let's get you on these medications and see if that helps. And it started to work. I started to feel better. I still had some ups and downs, and they were like, well, we want to make sure we are able to control the symptoms that you're having. And they gave me some other stuff to do, and here we are today. I have not had any major flare-ups since I got a definitive answer to what was going on with me. And I'm extremely thankful for just, I'm thankful that God directed me during this whole time. I was starting to get very frustrated and wanted to give up, but God and Tariq, they kept me solid. And even when we started to face financial issues because we were down to one income, I I started talking about I'm gonna commit suicide. And then you get the insurance money and you take care of the bills. Like, all of this stuff, the enemy was trying to take me out, and he was trying to keep me down. He didn't want me to live life, but God did. And God did an amazing job in my life. And 2018, we had our baby. I was not on any, I stopped all medications as soon as I found out I was pregnant, and did not have an issue the entire time. Did not have not one problem the whole pregnancy. And even after I delivered him, um, I still was pretty good. Then as he got older, there were things that started to happen. And I started to feel like how I did when I first got sick, but it was on a different scale because now I know what it was, and now I knew how to control it. So I just wanted to share our story of in sickness and in health. I wish he was able to come on tonight, but he's working. But it that 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 took that was our vows that we lived out, and I did the same for him. I helped take care of him when he had to have surgeries and stuff like that. Like, we lived these vows out. We took them seriously, and we still take them seriously in sickness and in health. You cannot abandon the person that you said that you love, the person that you took vows with. You can't abandon them in their time of need. Is not right. And if that's what you feel like you need to do, then maybe you shouldn't have married that person. But this was how we took this thing seriously. And I'm so glad that he stayed by my side. I'm so glad that God put him in my life. I told y'all before that we talked crazy about getting divorced a few times, but God always sees us through the trouble. He always helps us to stay together, and not just stay together, but we get closer together. After things happen, our bond gets stronger because we made a vow in front of some of the people that's watching, and in front of God. We made a vow, and we're sticking to those vows. Um, this was, yeah, this was a struggle to tell this story, and I don't even know why. But I was told I don't tell this story enough, so I'm sharing it today with you guys. And I just thank you for listening. Thank you, Miss Alfreda. She said, "Thank you, Ashley, for being so transparent and real. What a powerful story. To God be the glory." Oh, hey, husband. um, Colleen said, "Auntie just wants to say you are amazing. I'm so proud of your progress. Thank you." So, yeah, y'all. This was our story. This is our story about how we were holding each other down in the hard times. And whenever I hear a story about somebody who has a similar situation, it breaks my heart because I know the struggle. But I pray for them. I pray for them, and pray that God uh takes care of them. I know you're gonna have to go back and watch it, honey, because I told the story about when I got sick. So that's why I am married to this amazing man. He showed me who he was, and I've seen all sides of him, and this story is one of my favorites. Our love story is my favorite, because it's filled with ups and downs, but it's also filled with nothing but love that we have for one another. So, all right, y'all. Think I talked your ears off long enough. Anybody have anything else they want to say or questions for me or anything before I end the show, this episode? I thank you guys again. I keep saying thank you, but thank you guys again for watching. And share this video. If you did not subscribe to the channel, go ahead and subscribe now. Subscribe to the channel. You don't want to miss any episodes of the Love Experience show, because this show is a great show. It's a great show. You could pick up from this any episode. You can pick a lot of jewels out of it. So I love this show, not just because I created it, but because it's just, I love having my guests and sharing stories with us. All right, y'all. Well, I hope to see you all back here next week, next Thursday at 8 p.m. I will have a guest on, hopefully. And Until I see you guys again, if you want to be a guest on the Love Experience Show, go ahead and email me, DM me, get in touch with me so that you can come and tell your story about your love experience, or what, as long as it's whatever aspect of the love experience you want to talk about, come on the show and talk about it. Okay. So until I see you guys again, do not forget to go. I'm gonna put the link in the description. Do not forget to go to get your tickets for the Building Your Love Empire. It is coming in 2 weeks. You have to be there. It's a women's experience. It's a conference, but I'm calling it a women's experience. You have to be part of this. Get your tickets, get all your girlfriends, cousins, sisters, aunts, whoever, and tell them to get their tickets as well, so that you guys can all be blessed at the same time. Okay? So share this episode out with everybody you know. And I'll catch you guys on Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern on Clubhouse in the Love Experience room, where we will be talking about how to have a godly and healthy relationship. All right. Only one thing for me to say, and that is, what is your love experience? Till I chat with you guys again.